Reimagining Success, Episode 10. You're listening to Reimagining Success, the podcast where we help you reimagine your future, designing a life and career beyond the 9 to 5 that allows you the freedom, flexibility and fulfillment that you've been dreaming of. I'm your host, Anna Lundberg. Now, let's get started on those dreams. Hello there, and welcome back to the Reimagining Success podcast. Thank you for joining me again. Now, last week we kicked off a new series where we're looking at personal branding, what it is, why it's important, and how you can go about crafting your personal brand. So last week, if you missed that episode, then do please go back. We talked about why managing your personal brand, both online and offline, is so critical to the success of your business. And in fact, we talked about the fact that personal branding is important as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a freelancer, and as a full-time employee. So however you self-identify, this is an important topic, I think, for all of you. We revealed that you have a personal brand, whether you know it or not, that it's really your choice as to whether then you decide to do something about it, and that there is an immense power in allowing your potential clients to get to know you so that they can trust you and open up to what you have to offer. So, of course, the obvious next question is, okay, sounds good. How on earth do you do that? And the answer is that it starts with getting super clear on who you are and what you stand for, because essentially you have to find the story you want to tell, or more accurately, that you want to be told about you. Before you start telling your story, of course, you need to know what that story is going to be. And what I would suggest is that this week, actually, you grab a pen and paper. So if you don't have that with you, you can either pause me right now and I'll wait for you to come back with your notepad and pen. Or if you have a vision board, you can jot down some notes as we talk. Or if you're driving or gymming or whatever it is you do, then you can, of course, come back to this and listen again later. But I am going to walk you through a few different steps with some questions to think about what your personal brand, what your story might be. So it's not a magic formula. It's not a beautifully crafted presentation by any means, but it's a number of key elements that I'd love for you to think about in terms of what's going to make up your personal brand, what's going to become the story that you want to tell. And a good place to start is to start with why. Now, you may have come across Simon Sinek before and his 2009 TED Talk. So at the time of recording, that's actually 10 years ago. My goodness. And he did a TED Talk, How Great Leaders Inspire Action. And more famously than that title is really this idea of start with why. So he developed a really simple model, actually, of why, how, what. And he says, in a nutshell, that it's so much more powerful to start with the why than the how or the what, especially when it comes to your business. So as an example, he often uses Apple. So while most companies are going to start with what they do, we're going to say, I've got this product, I'm selling that. So a computer manufacturer might say, we sell really good computers with this functionality and that memory and blah, blah, blah. But the ones that are really winning in marketing and business are the ones that start with the why. And Apple is always a best-in-class example, certainly from the past, if they're maybe not quite as leading anymore. But they say things along like, we believe in thinking different, in challenging the status quo. And by the way, we also make these computers. So they don't start with, oh, we make computers, they've got this functionality, that functionality. They start with the why, the big picture. They have been known for making these beautifully designed, easy to use computers. And that stems from this bigger mission in thinking differently to all the other computer manufacturers that were out there. And by the way, they don't even say really computer manufacturer. And that's what's allowed them to also launch a phone, a music player, and so on. So communicating that bigger vision of why you do what you do attracts people who believe in that vision and is much more likely to get you loyal fans than just saying that you have a good product. That makes you sort of a commodity. You're one of many computers, let's say, one of many computer manufacturers. Now, we're talking about personal branding and is the exact same thing when it comes to your personal brand. So it's all very well to talk about how you do consulting for this, or you help people do that, or you sell these various things. But why do you do what you do? And importantly, why should other people care? So ask yourself, what is your overall purpose? What's your big why? Why do you get up in the morning? Why do you go to work? Why did you start this business in the first place? Or why are you thinking about starting this business? And what is it that you're ultimately trying to achieve? So you may have a very clear idea of why you started your business. Maybe like me, you wanted the freedom to make your own decisions, the flexibility to spend more time with your family, for example. But in order to now get other people to care, so move away maybe from the internal perspective to external, you're going to need to think about the bigger picture. So what is it that you want to help clients ultimately achieve? What's the impact that you want to have in the world? So it's no longer just about our personal family life, although of course our personal motivations are also important, but just try to translate that into the bigger picture of why are you really starting this business? Why do you want to reach more people? What are you helping them achieve? So call it your purpose, your mission statement, your why, but you need to have a really clear idea of your reason for running your own business. And by the way, it can't be to make money, baby. So yes, we all want to make money. Every corporation ultimately has profit as the end goal. I don't think that's the primary motivator for the rest of us. And certainly a personal brand needs to have something more meaningful. If it is to make money, then I'd encourage you, and I don't want to judge you, I'd encourage you to think about what money gives you. So it's probably a means to an end. It's not just to take a bath in lots of banknotes or whatever it might be, but probably it's to live a more luxurious and comfortable lifestyle, to travel more, to worry less, and so on. So think about the bigger why. Number 2 is to examine your core values. Now, brands, corporate brands, business, company brands are more and more value driven today, actually. So as with the business purpose, communicating clear values is going to attract customers who share those values. Your personal brand, because it is by definition personal to you, needs to be even more closely linked to your own values. So what do you want to stand for? What do you value most of all in your personal and your professional life? And how is that different to what other people stand for and prioritize? In particular, perhaps in your industry, in your area. Your values are going to guide your personal and business decisions and help you make strategic trade-offs, as we call them, between different choices along the way. Because you can't be everything to everyone. That means you're going to be nothing to no one, if that's a grammatically correct sentence. So clarifying your values will help you with decisions such as whether your messaging should be supportive and down to earth and conversational on the one hand, or rebellious and challenging and maybe even a little provocative. Whether the look and feel of what you put out needs to be beautiful and luxurious, or maybe rather real and raw. And whether you're going to work with big corporations, regardless of their attitude to the environment, for example, or you're going to choose to only work with ethical and sustainable businesses. Try to come up with 3 to 5 core values. That's a big enough range to give you something to play with, but still focused enough to be meaningful. Think about the qualities that you can own and really embed in everything you do. So what attitudes and beliefs do you bring to your work and the way you live your life consistently and without fail? And just to note, these values should be meaningful and they need to be actionable. It needs to be clear what each of the values means. So if you wake up in the morning and you think, oh, my value is X, you need to know how that affects the way you run your business. Otherwise, it's meaningless. So how are you going to run your business? How are you going to work with your clients? And of course, you value integrity, honesty, good customer service. Otherwise, I would argue you shouldn't be in the business in the first place. So try not to be generic and don't try to be noble and sound, good and generous just for the sake of it. So be honest, be true to who you are, but really think about how you can own these values and bring that authenticity, but also be effective in the market that you're trying to serve. The next one is documenting your skills and strengths. And this is really another important part of your personal brand. So what are the hard and soft skills that you bring to the table, and what are your unique strengths? So just going through those 3 definitions, and I don't want us to get caught in the distinctions really, because it's just semantics, but it can help to just have that as a guide to make sure you consider different aspects. But the first one, the most obvious perhaps, where we usually go, is the hard skills. And these are the taught, quantifiable skills that you've probably learned through school, training, and work experience. And they're also often specific to a particular job or tasks. They'll be very concrete, like bookkeeping skills, SEO marketing, or maybe a foreign language. So those are your hard skills. So map out all your hard skills. And obviously you can pause me now and do it right now, or you can come back later, make a note or listen again and do it when you have time and you have a notepad. So those are hard skills, taught, quantifiable skills. The second area is soft skills, and these are a little less easy to measure and can also be more subjective. They're more your interpersonal people skills, the kind of thing you'll probably hear in that cliche job interview, like good communication skills, strong time management, or being a great team player. I'm sure you can come up with something more creative, but that's just to give you an idea. Those are the softer skills You still probably gain them through experience and so on. They are things you can get better at, but they're not as obvious and not as easy to prove as those things where you can have a certificate or a qualification. And finally, you have your personal strengths or character traits. And these are things that come naturally to you and that remain more or less constant throughout your different experiences throughout your life. So a great example I saw was true empathy, because yes, we can all work on becoming more empathetic. We can learn some techniques, we can pay attention to how we interact with people, but there are some people who just do that very naturally and easily. They simply understand, relate to, and can feel what other people feel. And that is an inherent natural character trait. So I hope that gives you an indication of the difference between hard skills, those quantifiable skills that you learn at school and so on, softer skills, those job interview things that people like to push, communication and management and so on, and then the personal strengths that are a bit more constant throughout your life. Now, again, don't get caught up in the semantics, just use them as a guide to make sure you consider different aspects of your skills and strengths. And it's important here, again, if you're changing direction, you have a lot of transferable skills. So don't disregard things that seem irrelevant. Try to think creatively, try to think beyond the job title or job description that happens to be on your CV or your business card and think, okay, but what was I really doing in these roles? Was I negotiating, presenting to senior management, making massive talks in front of large audiences, all those different aspects that you're doing. So think beyond the obvious and those formal qualifications and job titles and really dig into the skills and strengths that you've been able to demonstrate. Okay, and the next one is to clarify the results you can help people with. And this is really where your personal brand begins to blend into your business brand, especially, again, if you're running a service-based business where the business is you. And look, the mistake I see people make here is that they focus on the immediate and almost superficial result that people will get from working with you. So to exaggerate the point, let's say a copywriter might say that they help clients write great copy. A virtual assistant helps people with their admin. And a personal trainer will say that they help clients with their training and fitness. So what? Does a company actually care about having great copy? Maybe some people do, some companies do. But most companies care more about what the copy will do for them. The strong, effective copy is going to attract more people to the brand. It's going to convert more prospects into clients. Ultimately, it's going to grow the business and, of course, make them money, which is what companies care about. And yes, the virtual assistant does admin. They might help with accurate bookkeeping, efficient email management. But really, the entrepreneur that the virtual assistant is working with cares much more about the peace of mind that that's going to give them, knowing that someone's got this under control, and the extra time and space they're going to gain thanks to this VA coming in, so that they can focus on the more important things in the business development, launching new products and services, and so on. And taking the personal trainer example, someone who comes to a personal trainer doesn't just want help with their training and fitness and nutrition. However, more likely they're going to want to lose weight, to look better, feel more confident. So really have a think about what results are you actually ultimately helping your clients achieve? What's the journey from A to B that you're taking them on? And by the way, what's point C, D, or even Z, as you say in America, that they're ultimately wanting to reach? Because even if you won't take them all the way there to Z, to the end of the alphabet, you know that fundamentally they're trying to get there. So yes, you're just helping them get from A to B or D to E or whatever your part in the puzzle is, but you have that bigger picture of understanding what they're ultimately trying to achieve. And it doesn't mean, let's say in the business example, that you have to guarantee they're going to triple their sales or get X number more clients or get the 6-7 figure business, whatever. But do have that in mind. Understand that they care about making money. They care about being able to focus on the priorities in their business. They care about having the energy to play with their younger children or to look good on their wedding day or whatever it is. And then finally, this is all well and good. We've come up with all these amazing things about our values and our beliefs and our skills, but how can you actually back that up? So you want to consider the evidence that you have to support all these impressive claims that you're making, from your mission to your values and your skills and strengths. So again, the obvious one is really the formal awards and accolades that you have, qualifications, certifications. So again, you can do this now or later, but make a list of all of your degrees, awards, credentials, prominent media appearances as well, key examples of work, all those formal, concrete, tangible qualifications, certifications and evidence to back up, to look good, essentially. Certainly if you're working with companies, those formal credentials can be very important. However, Don't limit yourself just to those formal titles and publications and things, because they may or may not be relevant to your client, in particular individual personal clients. So think about how else you can convey your value to people. Testimonials from previous clients, for example, are a great way to do this. And it's going to be much more convincing for your prospective clients to hear about who you are and what you do from previous clients than from your own mouth. Rather than telling people that you're a good public speaker, for example, they will be able to say, oh my goodness, this was the most incredible, inspirational talk I went to. All the feedback from the audience was incredible. We'd love to have her back. Or even better, beyond testimonials, or not even better, but at least complementing that, can you share video clips so that people can actually see how you speak? Rather than you just saying you're a good speaker, they can actually watch a video clip and judge for themselves. Share feedback and quotes from past audiences. If you're an incredible writer, don't say, I'm an incredible writer. Think about how you can demonstrate your skill in your writing, in the writing on your website, in the articles you put out, and so on. So the good news is that collecting this evidence is both going to build your confidence internally in your brand. You'll realize that you have a lot more skill and accomplishments than you thought you did. So that's good news. And secondly, you're going to be able to communicate that value more convincingly to your prospective clients. Okay, so pulling that all together, you have the elements of a personal brand story. You know why you're in business and why you do what you do. You have a clear set of values which are meaningful to you and to the day-to-day of your work. You've mapped out your particular set of skills and strengths, and you have the means to back it all up. Now, next week, we are going to look at how to pull this together and think about how to get comfortable with selling. Because as much as you may have recognized, yes, this is important, and yes, I do need to build my personal brand, when it then comes to actually showing up, talking about yourself, talking about how great you are, I know it can feel pretty uncomfortable. But we're going to look at this next week because dealing with that ick factor that we get, getting more comfortable with selling is, as we'll discover, absolutely critical to having a successful business. It's not as bad as it sounds. There are some cultural sort of reasons, I suppose, why we associate selling with this sleazy used car salesman. It doesn't have to be that way. It can be much simpler. You don't have to be inauthentic or unethical or sleazy in any way. And we'll dig into that in next week's episode. So again, I think this episode was full of quite sort of important content to go back and listen to. So if you didn't have a chance to grab a pen and paper, please do bookmark this, come back to it later, remind yourself, grab a pen and paper and really spend the time thinking about your why, exploring your values, getting down to those 3 to 5 core values, documenting all your skills and strengths and all those credibility factors as well. So I hope you found that helpful. And again, next week, we'll be looking at how you can get more comfortable by changing your mindset, changing the way you think about presenting your personal brand and selling yourself, and beginning to implement some strategies to actually do that as well. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you back here next week. Bye for now. Thanks for listening to Reimagining Success with Anna Lundberg. If you're getting value from the show, I would be really grateful if you could give me a rating and review so that more people can find us and start reimagining success for themselves. Thank you so much for your support.